Hello and welcome back into another edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. Mr. Anthony is back from his Thanksgiving vacation, stuffed his fat ass with turkey, and now he's ready to talk taking it to the window and getting more turkey. Anthony, welcome back to the studio.
Thanks. Glad to be back.
Yeah, it's been I think you left on episode 3, and we've just been rolling through.
Yeah.
Your chair has been kept warm by the likes of probably about 4 or 5 people.
Hey, been listening, and it sounds pretty good, and been following all the action going on in the world of sports.
So let's start this podcast with championship weekend, because I think it is the most important slate of games in sports. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's the last week before the final college football picture, and
yeah, I mean this is the last. It comes out Sunday night, the Final Four. So obviously, I'm rooting for just total and utter disaster and chaos. I just want to see what this committee is going to do when it has basically a blank slate, a blank canvas to basically impose their will.
It'll be very interesting how the shape of this weekend turns out. The Final Four of the college football playoff.
Yeah, so you got matchups of note. Obviously, you have the Pac-12 championship, which is today. That is Stanford and USC at 49er Stadium. You've got the Big 12 championship, which is early, a noon start on the East Coast on Saturday. Oklahoma, TCU in Jerry World. You have the SEC title, which is Georgia and Auburn in the new Mercedes-Benz. You've got Miami and Clemson for the ACC title in, where's that, in Charlotte, I believe? Yeah, Charlotte, yeah. Bank of America Stadium. And then in the night caps off, side-by-side with that, with the Big Ten championship, Wisconsin v. Ohio State in the Drum. Other championships of note, obviously UCF and Memphis. At home for UCF for the American Athletic Conference Championship. That's a noon start on the East, 9 in the Pacific. As much as I'd like to hope that had playoff implications, probably doesn't, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be an exciting matchup. So let's start with the game tonight. That's Stanford and USC. Actually, you know what? No, scrap that. Let's start at the end, because I think those games have more interest to a lot of the people listening to the podcast and a lot of people who'll be watching on Saturday.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you got Wisconsin and Ohio State. Wisconsin finally gets some love from the CFP and gets into the fourth slot of the playoff. And you got talking heads like Tebow saying even if they're undefeated, they shouldn't be in. Alabama would wipe the floor with them, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But we had this similar situation 3 years ago. Wisconsin was a playoff caliber contender. Ohio State as well. And they did not have J.T. Barrett. This time they will. They had the Cardell Jones experience. 59-0. Went on to win the national title. Ohio State, ha-ha, roo-roo, rah-rah.
Yeah.
But do you see a similar situation, and everybody who's been on this podcast, we've talked about it in the last week. Do you see a similar situation where if Ohio State, a 2-loss conference Big Ten champion of a Power 5 conference Big Ten champion, beating Wisconsin by 3 touchdowns, do you see a scenario where they step in?
I think they need a little help as well, even if they win by a big 3 touchdowns or something, just because the community hasn't been fond of Wisconsin the whole year. They have them ranked as a 4 seed and they're undefeated. Even 2-loss teams, a couple 1-loss teams in front of them.
Well, the 1-loss teams in front of them are playing each other, with the exception of Alabama. So you have Miami and Clemson, obviously winner take all in that. You have Georgia and Auburn, obviously winner take all in that. So a lot of those things will be sorted out. Oklahoma has beaten TCU already once. I can't see a scenario where TCU beats Oklahoma and gets into the playoffs when they're sitting at number 11. Already have lost to Oklahoma once. So I'm envisioning a scenario that I want as Miami, Ohio State, TCU, Ohio State, TCU, and Georgia all winning the game.
Just pure upsets, pure chaos.
Pure lower seed wins. Just because I want to see with the slate absolutely stone cold clean. You obviously have to put Georgia in.
Yeah.
Correct? One loss team.
I would assume so. They beat Auburn, which even though they would be a 3-loss team after a loss here.
Right.
Still impressive when their only loss was against Auburn. So
you have Georgia would be in. That's not a doubt.
Yeah.
Let's say USC wins their matchup against Stanford. So we'll throw that in there as well. So now you have Georgia's in, without a shadow of a doubt. Now you have
Miami, Ohio State,
Auburn. Now a SEC runner-up, granted with 3 losses. Mm. You have Miami with 2 losses, one of them being to 5-7 Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You have Wisconsin with 1 loss, being to the Big Ten champion Ohio State. You have Alabama with 1 loss to Auburn, who has 3 losses, but is the SEC runner-up. You have Oklahoma, who now has 2 losses, both of which in conference, both of which to ranked opponents. Iowa State was not a ranked opponent when they beat them, but they have been ranked at some point this year.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for the fact that Georgia gets in, or even Auburn. I think if Auburn wins, Georgia can't really have a case with 2 straight losses to Auburn.
No.
So let's for sakes of my storyline, let's put Georgia as the winner in the upset of that game in Mercedes-Benz. You've got 7 teams that, Miami's an ACC title. Everybody says they're in, but they lost to Pittsburgh. Clemson lost to Syracuse. Let's put Georgia on the map. If you had that entire slate and you're the playoff committee, what do?
You run around with your head cut off and probably throw darts.
Can't you just see the whole the 24-hour period after Wisconsin and Ohio State wrap up? If something like that happened, I can just see social media just literally exploding. And I don't mean like, a bunch of people talking. I mean like literally crashing servers.
Yes, like pure mayhem and just explosions everywhere, like riots in the streets almost.
It's just every team at that point has a case. And I'm of the belief, both these ACC champions, if it's Miami, I'm not necessarily ready to put them in.
No, I think Clemson...
I think Ohio State's body of work may be better.
As well as you and I both believe Clemson's kind of overrated. And
the more I look at their schedule, and you've missed a lot in a week, let me tell you.
Yeah.
The more I look at their schedule, the more Clemson has played a very well-balanced schedule, and their loss is without the quarterback that would be their playoff starter.
Yeah.
I'll give them some
leeway
with that situation. That being said, I can't see a situation where Miami losing to what they did out of the gate, being dominated that entire time. That's the lasting image right now of a Miami Hurricanes football team, pre-ACC Conference champion. If they win that game, I still can't see them as a lock, even at 11-1, even though I know they're going to be.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Alabama if there's mayhem?
Well, that's the thing. Alabama's sitting back rooting for, if not the entire picture to implode, most of it, because they don't have anything to lose this weekend. They didn't complete their task. Now, whether you want to believe it or not, Nick, the Bama fan, came on the program and said, Bama's season smoke and mirrors. They're not what they are. They're not what they are now is not the same as what they used to be, and what they've been, and what casual fan knows Bama to be when you hear that name.
Yeah, you think like Roll Tide, you think of national championships, you think
right,
of
because they have done that, and they've
bowl appearances, and
they've put up a resume that speaks to that, and that's fine. But this year, it's not the same Bama team, and the focus of a playoff committee is to determine what has happened this year. That's my whole bag of worms with the UCF controversy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Oklahoma goes down. TCU is clearly not strong enough to get in.
Yes.
But is Oklahoma at 2 losses even considered into the program at that point? They played for a conference title.
I believe if there's a lot of mayhem, I mean, you would have to have smoke in the mirrors and like rivers on fire and all that, and they could maybe get in, but I don't see them getting in with 2 losses unless if that weird situation happens.
I have a sidebar. As I'm looking at a lot of the scoreboards and the schedules, if you hurry right now, you can get Florida State, Louisiana Monroe tickets for as low as $3.
Wow.
I can't get a Florida Atlantic North Texas ticket for less than that. Their lowest ticket is $9. But I can go to Doak from $3. That's amazing. I don't know. To me, it just kind of jumped off.
That is very, very interesting.
Cheapest tickets, though, for any of these relevant championship games, if you had to guess.
Was that the Troy Arkansas State?
No, I'm talking about the actual championships that matter.
Oh, is that the...
Don't make a career out of this.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's the SEC championship with Georgia and Auburn.
Yeah.
I'm looking through my Facebook, and guys are trying to sell tickets for $4.25 a pop. I can come on here on Vivid Seats and get one for $68.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. We talked about that with Dave on the program. I mean, the revenue that people look at these games, championship weekend. Why would I go to this game unless I'm a diehard fan of that program when I can set up a home entertainment center and watch 4 or 5 of these games throughout the course of the day and never have to leave my ass?
Yeah, you could have ice chest right next to you and order pizza. And
I mean, I know you've seen the man cave. It's coming along. I mean, the man cave set up, couches and everything. TVs are going in. The loft, the movie studio is now has seating, so that's exciting. And I'm going to sit my ass here and watch a hell of a slate of college football, starting with tonight. And USC. Oh, I lied. USC has the cheapest tickets in the Pac-12 championship. They're $20, but they play on Friday. They don't play on Saturday, so they don't count. But let's jump in. I mean, USC. Did they still have any outside shot at being a 2-loss program, but a Power 5 conference champion more than likely?
I see more Oklahoma if they lose to TCU. I see them getting in before USC in my mind. Because USC, if you look at their schedule and their losses, they lost to Washington State, which was a ranked opponent at the time, and they had a bad loss against Notre Dame. And a lot of the wins in the last few weeks, like against UCLA, of course, it's always tough playing against them. That was within a touchdown. But
I see what you're saying, but don't we look at this and, we've talked about the committee wants the matchups that are going to sell the most everything. Merchandise, ticket sales, advertisements, ratings, etc. The list goes on and on and on. So doesn't putting Sam Darnold, a potential number 1 pick in next year's draft, in this playoff to showcase himself, I mean, doesn't that have to weigh in the minds of the committee? If they win and then beat Stanford, they beat Stanford by, 18 points last time. If they beat them worse and some of this chaos that we've been discussing ensues,
I think they have a slight chance of getting in, but I would say it's severely unlikely. It would have to be absolute,
pandemonium.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to play the what if game to the 10th power.
Yeah. No, I understand.
I don't want this to run chalk because that's just boring. I want to see how badly this committee can show their asses and their bias. Because to be honest with you, from deep down in my heart, I want this all to happen and them to say, fuck it, let's throw UCF in this motherfucker. And they're going to go play in the Fiesta Bowl in the round playoffs, and I want to jet my ass down there.
That would be awesome to go see.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a backloaded agenda for me, knowing full well that this could all happen, and UCF will fall back a spot when they win. They'll go back to 15, because the committee's a fucking joke.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather see UCF get in than USC.
Absolutely, but I mean, let's
be real.
Play realistic here.
Yeah.
So, I want this chaos to ensue. I think Georgia's in with the upset victory. If Oklahoma loses, I don't see a situation where they're in. That's 2 losses, 1 to an unranked program at the time.
Yeah.
Auburn's out with 3 losses, so I see Georgia. I see Clemson with another loss, potentially staying in.
I think they drop behind Alabama if so.
I can't do that. I can't. If you can't play for your conference's title game, you shouldn't play for a national championship.
I absolutely agree as
simple.
well. But
it's that simple. I don't see. I mean, I see how they're going to do it.
Yeah. Because,
like I said, if your goal is to get the maximum value out of this playoff, you want Alabama.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to these other teams because for a team like Auburn to beat Alabama last week and then have a no-win situation here. If they win, great. They're the number 2 team in the country. They're going to win the SEC. But if they lose, it's it. And Alabama, who they just beat, and I would say beat pretty handedly, the score to me dictated it in an Alabama-Auburn game, they now have to watch from the couch.
Yeah, which I believe is fair because they got smothered.
And now you have Oklahoma, the Big 12, bringing back the conference title game at what I would say the worst possible time. Because Oklahoma, as a 3 seed, is not a strong 3 candidate. They have nothing to gain by this. If they win, great. They're supposed to win. They'll probably stay number 3. But they have everything to lose.
They do too. It's kind of like a catch-22, but for the worse.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of these things going on. I mean, Wisconsin's the same way. They're 12-0. The committee finally gave them that love that would keep them there, and now they've got to play Ohio State when they could have avoided them. You know,
yeah.
Ohio State could beat them. I'm of the impression that if this all shakes down, my 4 is Georgia or SEC champion, ACC champion. If Ohio State beats Wisconsin, they're in. If Oklahoma loses, Alabama gets in. So if my chaotic fiasco comes through, it's Georgia, Miami, Ohio State, and Alabama.
I'm leaning towards the same. I'm not sure if there'll be that much shakeup, but it'd be one hell of a weekend to watch of this mayhem.
Now let's actually dive into what we really believe is going to happen, not what we hope is going to happen. Let's talk about these games and how they look on the slate. The Pac-12 champion, USC is playing their best football right now, and I don't see a situation where Stanford beats them. That being the case, USC is favored by a touchdown, I think. I have to check.
3.5.
3.5? Okay,
yeah.
So they're favored by 3.5. Essentially, it's a home game for Stanford.
Yeah.
So where your thoughts lie in a situation like that? Whereas this, USC's got to travel up north to Santa Clara, so the San Jose area.
I don't think it affects them too much. I believe they're going to win cover. I'm not sure if they'll shake them up as much as they did previous matchup, but I'm predicting they'll win by a touchdown, maybe a touchdown and field goal. About a 7-10 point win.
Okay, so that puts the USC Trojans as Pac-12 champions.
Yes.
You have Oklahoma at TCU in Jerry World.
Line I have on that game is a flat touchdown. What are your thoughts on that one?
Unfortunately, I think Oklahoma has to come out in this game. I said that they have nothing to gain and everything to lose. They've got to make sure they don't lose. So I am going to say that they win this game by just enough to stay healthy. 10-point victory. Oklahoma wins. They're the Big 12 champions. They're the playoff. And I say it's in something in the 41-31 range.
Yeah, that sounds about right. A little high-scoring affair. Don't see both defenses putting up huge stops, maybe a crazy turnover in the game to make it a little exciting.
So then you got the SEC title game. 1.5 to 3, depending on where you look at. Auburn is the favorite.
Yeah, right now I'm looking at William Hill, and it's a 2-point.
I like Georgia in this game because I think Georgia has had 2 weeks to basically study everything that went wrong in that beatdown. And it is really hard to beat a team twice, especially in their own backyard.
Yes. I'm leaning towards the other way. I believe Auburn's going to win by about a touchdown.
Okay. See, in my opinion, I think Auburn is just playing above their heads right now. Or, excuse me, when I say right now, I mean a week ago. I don't think they're as good as Alabama let them showcase. I think Georgia is better than what they showcased that one night of their loss.
Yeah.
And like I said, to beat a team twice, this time in Mercedes-Benz, with the lights hitting you, we've seen Auburn be a very mediocre team before. So I think that's the Auburn I see coming out. I think it's a 3 to 5 point game. 28-23, I think Georgia wins. Georgia's SEC champions.
And they get in the playoffs.
Of course. Whoever wins that game's in the playoff.
Yeah.
That's a no-doubt, no-brainer. So you have Miami and Clemson. Miami is a 9 to 10 point dog. Clemson is a heavy money line favorite in the threes.
Yeah, I'm seeing 380 right now with them being a 9-point favorite.
This one's tough because the lasting image of Miami Hurricanes football is getting stoinked by a 5-17. I think Clemson will win this game by 1.
1 point lead.
21-20, 24-23, 27-26, something like in that range. I don't like the total because the range of what I think is going to happen fluctuates all around that.
Yeah, it's 47 right now, and yeah, I'd rather take Miami plus the points in that situation. Be nice to see Miami win this one, but I think Clemson's got more on the line to play for, and
they have the same thing to play for, but I think Clemson's the better talent, and talent in college football generally shows itself throughout the course of a game. I think it's close. I think Miami covers. Clemson's your ACC champion.
And they get in.
And they are obviously in. This one, I struggle. Ohio State at Wisconsin. Each day, I'm on a different side.
Well, I'm looking at the line right now. As of right now, yes, it's currently 6.
51 in the total.
If I believe it opened up as, Wisconsin as a point favorite? No?
No. Ohio State's been the favorite the entire time.
Then they were a point favorite when it opened up.
That's a hell of a move if that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's... I'll have to check the line movement on that, but I don't think that's true. There's no way that thing jumped 5 points in 3 days.
Better let me pull up the history of it.
I like OSU to win this game. If every talking head says that Wisconsin is not as good as their record, or they haven't played anybody, then I think Ohio State should win. But knowing Vegas, that's just what they want me to think. Especially if you're saying that it opened up at -1.
-2.
It opened up at -2 and it's been bet all the way to 6.
Yeah.
Referencing who? William Hill?
Scores and odds, but yeah, they pretty much go off the same.
So you're telling me that in 3 days,
It's moved
4 days. It's moved 4 points.
It's a pretty significant jump.
Well, yeah, for a team who's basically 12-0 to just get fired upon by. I mean, they say generally the squares bet in the beginning, the sharks come later. So I don't know. Today I'm leaning Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow might be different. 7:59 Eastern time might be different.
Yeah, kickoff, I believe it might even jump up to a touchdown. The way this trend's going.
If I have to make this pick right now, God, who do you like?
Rather light myself on fire than pick this game, but
Well, we can film that, put it on YouTube.
might get more hits than this podcast.
That's true. By the way, shameless plug. We were down from iTunes for a little bit. We are now off SoundCloud, so fuck those guys. You don't have to worry about any new episodes coming over there. But we are just specifically, you can stream us on the website at vegassquares.com. You can do youtube.com. Just search the Vegas Squares Podcast. And we are on iTunes. Search Vegas Square Podcast. So now, I've stalled for you. Make your goddamn pick.
If I had to pick one, it would be Ohio State.
All right. Well, then I'm going to take Wisconsin in the points, and we're going to make this a bet.
Okay.
I'm going to bet you $100.
100. Me, Ohio State -6.
You and Ohio State -6, and I'll give you the push.
Okay, so pretty much 5.5, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay. But there's a stipulation.
Yeah.
If Ohio State covers, you have to hit the over-under
I have to hit the over
to get paid out. I just have to hit the spread because I'm taking the dog and giving you half a point. So you have to hit it, but you have to pick it right now.
Okay. The line I'm seeing right now is 51.5.
Okay, I got 51, so I'll let you. You want the half? You want the half for no pushing?
Yeah.
All right, we'll put the half in for no pushing. So you got 5.5. Ohio State 51.5. So you're not going to push.
I like the under.
Okay, so let's book it. You got Ohio State 5.5, but got to parlay it with the under. So you're calling for a blowout, essentially. That's what your pick's saying. Your pick is basically saying this game's going to be a one-sided scoring affair. I mean, I don't know. Call me crazy. I could see 28-20 or something like that. But I think it's more you're calling the under in the situation where you're saying it's like 35-10.
So if I get both right, what's at stake for me then?
It's $100.
But if I lose outright, then it's $100. I lose, right?
If Wisconsin covers 5.5, I win $100. If OSU covers 5.5 and goes over 51.5, the bet washes. It's a push. But if OSU goes 5.5 and under 51.5, you win $100.
See, in that case, you should take a total as well. Because I got to parlay it.
Well, I'm taking the dog.
Doesn't matter if you're taking the dog.
So you want me to be on the total?
Well, I'm taking Ohio State -5.5 and
right,
the under.
By standard betting valuation, you're getting the better deal because I gave you the favorite, who statistically should be the better team, and brought it back a half a point. I'll take a total just to appease you, but I'm just telling you that I'm taking a negative EV bet here.
Well, if I parlay it all together, I could get +260 on the money.
In terms of
placing a $100 bet right now
on William Hill, you're going to place a $100 bet on Wisconsin?
No,
or on Ohio State.
Ohio State and the under. It'd be +260 if you do a 2-leg parlay.
Right, but what I'm saying is if Wisconsin covers in the over, you just lost double your bet by doing that. You lost your bet to me, and you lost your bet to Billy Hill.
No, I don't understand that, but
okay. So you're just telling me at this point in time, you're just telling me you're betting it as we speak.
No,
as we speak.
No, what I'm saying is, why should I have to pick two sides of it, even though I'm taking the favorite?
That's why. You're taking a favorite, and you're getting a half a point back.
I'll take it. Here, how
about this? How about this?
Uh-huh.
If you hit OSU 5.5, actually, I'm taking it back up to 6.
Okay.
You hit OSU 6 and the under, I'll pay you $125.
It's got to be a little more juicy than that.
More juicy?
Yeah.
Come on, man. I'm not made of money. William Hill's made of money. I know what you're saying. You can get $260 from them.
Yeah. Make it $150.
But William Hill is not sitting in the studio. Bill, you here? Bill? Where's Bill? I don't see Bill. Bill didn't show up today. He's got the flu. So I'm not made of money, man. Look, I'm rocking the iPhone 5.
Hey, that's better than my Galaxy 6.
So I've got a 31-inch Vizio with no cable, streaming a Fire Stick that doesn't work.
I think I got the same in my apartment.
And I've been drinking out of that canteen since World War II.
I was about to say 1918.
Yeah, essentially. When was the War of 1918?
1918.
Oh, okay. Just checking. There's no war in 1918.
It was end of World War I.
It's kind of like, what time's your midnight tournament?
Midnight, right?
I don't know. Thursday. So anyways, all right, fine.
Yeah.
I'll juice you 150.
Oh, at 150, so...
You got to hit 6. I'm going back to 6, though.
All right, so
6,
Ohio State -6 and the under.
I just have to hit Wisconsin plus 6.
And
I'll get 100.
And if I get Ohio State, but he goes over, then it's push.
Then, yeah, we nobody wins.
No,
Everybody kisses their sister.
No,
I think that's fair.
That's fair.
So, shout out to Rex Charger. I think he's going to the game. So, if you're out there at Lucas Oil, make sure you say hi to him because he will be in attendance, clothing optional. I don't know.
Never know with that guy.
So, let's jump into the UCF Knights because this obviously is a game I'll be watching. It starts at noon on the East, 9 over here in Vegas. They're laying a touchdown, and they've got so much around them in the way of distractions.
Yeah, as bad as it seems, it would be nice to see them be somewhat seated higher and maybe make a case for the playoffs. But as far as the committee,
yeah, I mean they're not.
They're.
Yeah, I've given up on this pipe dream, unfortunately. So, but let's just look at the game itself because it's due to be a good game. The first time they played each other at home, I'll have to get the crack research staff to look up the exact score, but I believe UCF won like 40-17, and
40-13.
40-13. Okay, so they won by 27 points. That Memphis Tigers team is not the Memphis Tigers team that's going to reappear.
It's almost completely different in my mind.
Laying the touchdown. Everybody loves the over 81.
Yeah, I see 82, and I absolutely agree with the over.
I wish I would have fired it at Caesar's Properties because it was 85.
Wow.
And I love the under. And now it's come down 4 more points. I like this game in the 60 to 70 range. I like this game in the 35-31 range. Give me Memphis. Give me the under still. I'm going to tease it. 7 points. So I'm taking Memphis with 2 touchdowns. And I'm taking 88. I'm under. That's where I'm going to tease this game.
Oh, okay. What was that? Minus 200?
No. 140.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not too bad value. Yeah, I see UCF winning maybe by a touchdown, maybe a touchdown and a field goal or something around there.
I just think there's a lot of distraction, and that's what scares me right now. I mean, Scott Frost, the coaching rumors, I listened to him on one of the local radio shows on a radio station I used to actually work at, and it basically, to me, sounded like a goodbye speech.
Kind of like a good farewell.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't blame Scott Frost. It's his dream job. It's Nebraska. He was born there. He played there. He won a national title there. I get it. I understand. I don't like it because obviously it hurts. But that's got to be sitting in the locker room right now.
Yeah, it's probably upsetting on the players as well as some of the fans out there.
Oh, the fans I've looked on Twitter were going nuts. Actually, the teaser's only 130, so I'm getting a little juice back.
Nice.
So if I took Memphis to 2 touchdowns and under actually on William Hill is 89, I could tease it to 89 points. So that is place bet.
Locked.
We're locked up. I went to the window with that one, so I am happy to report that will be one of my bets. So, anyways, the Scott Frost, he's as good as gone at this point. He's going to coach this game. The problem I have is that if they win this game, they're going to a New Year's Six Bowl without their head coach. I would assume. Because he's got to get started on recruiting.
Yeah.
Because signing day would be less than a month and a half away. He's got to get started. So I thank Frost for everything he did for the program in the 2 years he turned around. He went, 17-7?
Yeah, which for an ACC team, right?
AAC team.
Yeah,
for an AAC team who went 0-12 a year ago, or 2 years ago. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he turned that program almost a complete 180.
Right. So my problem with it is yes, for everything he's done, we get to the highest stage for any Group of 5 conference team without our leader. And that's a problem for me. So I hope that maybe he'll stay and coach the bowl game. It's highly unlikely. But we'll see. So give me Memphis with 2 touchdowns on the teaser. I got the 89 points. I'm going to take the under. I think it's in the 35-31 range, which is 66, which is not 89, which is hopefully a victory.
Win-win situation.
That's how teasers work. You need a win-win.
Well, I mean, your bet wins as well as UCF.
Let's stray away from the on-field action. There's been some off-field shenanigans that I just want to get to. We talked about Kevin Sumlin on a podcast before being out at Texas A&M and how they have such unrealistic expectations. Well, those unrealistic expectations have led them to basically, all reports have semi-confirmed that they are receiving the rights to take Jimbo Fisher's talents to College Station, away from the Florida State Seminoles. And as I sit here, I haven't mentioned this on the program, but I also did my time at the Florida State, and I'm a Florida State fan as well. And I'm okay with him leaving. I don't like it, but I think I'm okay with him being gone more than Scott Frost being gone. Is that just because Florida State's still a program recognizable enough that it's going to keep retooling and reloading versus rebuilding? I mean, you look at Florida State's schedule this year. Mm-hmm. With Francois, they still had one of the hardest schedules.
Oh, by far.
They had Alabama to start. You know, they've played Clemson. They've played Miami. They've also played... the only bad game I look at on their schedule is the Boston College game. They've played Florida, who's not great.
But they're always decent. It's always a rival, yeah.
They lost to Louisville, Lamar Jackson. You know, they lost to NC State, another good quality opponent.
Yeah.
The only loss of their 6, really to me, that was just embarrassing, was getting beat 35-3 in Boston College.
Yeah, that was.
But that's the thing. That this team's not bad. We're not what their 5-6 record says. With DeAndre Francois, they still played, in my opinion, if not the toughest, one of the toughest schedules in college football.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I think Jimbo Fisher will be a good fit with Texas A&M, then. And, of course, Florida State, with their background history and all that, they'll also pick up a very reliable head coach that can pursue some talent in the next couple of years to come, I believe.
Well, everything's pointing to this Willie Taggart guy who was the USF coach. Now he's spent, I believe, 1 season at Auburn. He seems to be the emerging favorite if this deal gets done this weekend, which Jimbo said he's not going to do anything until after the season. But rumor has it Tallahassee Airport has a flight from Tally to College Station, Texas, Sunday morning. So make that what you will. But let's look at the guys who, if they have to replace him, the 2 guys that are open.
Actually, I do have breaking news. Is that he has resigned and will be the new coach.
Already? Wow,
Yeah.
where's this at?
On ESPN.
Yeah, 8 minutes ago, Jimbo Fisher accepts Texas A&M head coaching job.
Yeah.
At first glance, if you're Jimbo Fisher, you're the head coach at Florida State. You're in a program in a conference, in a division of a conference where your only real foe is Clemson, which they can be good. They've been good for a long time. Dabo's a good coach, but it's not the SEC West where you're playing LSU, Auburn, and Alabama year in and year out.
Yeah, it's
My first theory on this is if he's got to hit the ground running, and if he doesn't, he's gone just like someone.
yeah.
Maybe even in less time.
What time frame are you thinking? Like 2 years?
I think he's got 15 games.
That small?
Yeah, I think he's got one season to say, okay, these are Kevin Sumlin's guys who actually, if you look at Kevin Sumlin's recruiting classes, are top 20 recruiting classes, top 15 recruiting classes. Mm-hmm. So he's going to have these guys that Kevin Sumlin brought. He may achieve, if he doesn't achieve success, that's the thing. A college football coach should have 4 years because that's your junior and senior recruiting class of your first class. That's when it should be coming
visible, and
that's your footprint.
Your talent. And
you're just playing the guys who were in another guy's recruiting class in the first 2 to 3 years of your position. So the problem is these guys don't have that kind of time anymore. So you have to rely on consulting Kevin Sumlin to see how bare that cupboard is when you sit down.
It's more like almost of a cutthroat position.
I'm probably being pessimistic or probably a little wrong, but 15 games before you start hearing things. Before you start hearing regrets. Mm-hmm. You get 1 year, if you're 8-5, whatever, or 8-4.
Bowl game in the first 2 or 3 games of the next season.
Yeah, you get your bowl game, you win your bowl game, then there's optimism.
Yeah.
And depending on your start out of the gate, let's look at Texas A&M's 2019 schedule. Let's see what they got as far as non-conference. Pull that up. Future schedules, Texas A&M. Here we go. So 2018, that's not what I want. I want the next year. 2019. They go to Clemson. That's going to be a big one. They get Alabama and Auburn at home. LSU in Baton. And the rest of their home games, Mississippi State. If they don't beat Clemson, you start to hear it. But, I mean, they play Texas State, Lamar, UTSA. Typical out-of-conference schedule for the SEC.
Yeah.
Because the SEC is so good. Okay, whatever. That they can schedule Lamar and UTSA.
I don't even know where those are at.
I don't know where Lamar is, but I think UTSA is
Utah.
No, it's University of Texas San Antonio.
Oh yeah.
But that's my point. Yeah. You're sitting here going, "Oh, Utah, Utah." No, not Utah. If they were playing Utah, that'd be different.
Yeah. Utah's got a decent program.
Utah. And then they play Texas State, which I would imagine is in the state of Texas.
You would think so.
So, anyways, yes, I mean, next year their schedule is Clemson at home. So Jimbo can't get away from Clemson. Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Auburn in Auburn. He'll get a pass for year one. But 2019, he has to win that. He gets all of his big games at home, with the exception of Clemson. Auburn, Alabama. LSU, we'll see what they are. They play at Georgia, if Georgia's anything in 2 years, which they should be. I don't know. I say, now looking at their schedule, they should come out of the gate at worst 3-1 in 2019, depending on when and where they play. Depending on when they play Alabama and Auburn. If they're 500 ball club in 2019, you start to hear problems.
Well, I think so.
Start to hear regrets. Start to hear Twitter.
Maybe even like a 7-5 team, something around that. You still even hear that.
But I don't know what the contract details are, but I've heard that he's getting like $7.5 million a year for 10 years.
Yeah, it's an extension through the 2024 season.
So a 7-year contract at this point?
Yeah. But something ridiculous like that, yeah. Well, he was with Seminoles the last 5 years and our last 8 seasons, and he was 83-23. So decent record.
Yeah, I mean, he moved over from LSU as the coach in waiting to Bobby Bowden. Eventually, Bobby Bowden was forced out. Whether you agree with that or disagree with that, it's fact. He was forced out. Jimbo came in and gave us a national title. It is what it is. You know, Jameis Winston and the rest of that crew, Calvin Benjamin, did what they had to do. So Jimbo will always have a special place in Seminole lore. The problem is that for 2 years he's been flirting with these SEC teams. And don't get me wrong, that's fine. $7.5 million annually is not something you can just be like, man, we'll talk later. You have to answer that call.
Yeah.
The problem is when you answer that call and people ask you if you answer that call, don't fucking lie.
Yeah, you don't want to cause more problems than what you're already creating.
Well, that's my thing. Don't lie and sit there and have people kicked out of interviews and press conferences because they ask a simple question and they want to know the truth. You know,
yeah, which they have every right to. But
yeah, and that was my issue. And the situation is, you know, if for some reason this deal did not go through, how does Jimbo Fisher for 2 straight years? How does he come back to Florida State? He doesn't. He has to go at that point.
Yeah, I don't see him coming back.
Well, no, he's not. I'm saying
No.
if for some way that went down, he can't come back, right? I mean, they're going to move on from him. ESPN 20 minutes ago named the new coach at Texas A&M.
Yep.
It just, to me, this one doesn't hurt like Frost does.
Yeah. Yeah, just because, I mean, he had no choice of it. He was just pushed out of it, and they had plans going forward.
I hope he takes Kelly with him. Charles Kelly, the defensive coordinator. That guy's fucking terrible.
He might if he's his guy.
I hope so. Get him out. So, the 2 potential candidates we talked about were Willie Taggart and Justin Fuente. Those are the 2 that are jumping off the page, I guess. I don't know what Florida State's. They've obviously, deal with this and then look at their coaching search. They still got games to play. Fighting for a bowl streak that needs to stay intact. So, I don't know. Let's look at their resumes. Willie Taggart, USF, and Auburn and Oregon. He could be good. I mean, I don't know a lot about Willie Taggart. He had short tenures at both of those schools. So, has what he's done. I mean, Oregon's not necessarily lighting it up. In my opinion, they were 6-6, 6-5,
Something around there, yeah.
So he doesn't really wow me or anything. He was coach at USF for 3 years. I'm not crazy about it. Justin Fuente, I like. Justin Fuente came from Memphis, built that program, has made Virginia Tech a defensive stalwart. He's done pretty well.
I think that would be a good puzzle piece for the Florida State Seminoles. Just that background and his style. I think it fits more with the Florida
State. And taking
State.
him out and taking him away from a contender.
Yeah.
I mean, he's coached, I think, there for 2 years now.
Yeah, well,
at Virginia Tech.
Just put up decent numbers.
I like him out of the gate. I'll have to see what else is around or available. I just hope that this doesn't turn into the Tennessee football situation.
Yeah, that's
which has taken a nice turn today too.
Yeah, it's kind of an understatement, but yeah.
So Fuente and Taggart, they're the initial candidates. Let's talk about candidates. I mean, I guess you could look at every single candidate that said no to Tennessee. Maybe Florida State hires Greg Schiano and sees how that plays out. God, what a dumpster fire that fucking program is.
Or do you think there's a candidate out there that might be willing to switch programs or maybe bump down from the NFL to the NCAA?
I don't see anything in the NFL right now. And that's a very rare situation. It's usually a guy who was in college.
Yeah.
I'm glad Chip Kelly is already hired because I don't want Chip Kelly for Florida State. So I'm glad he's already been hired. I don't think he makes sense. He makes sense where he's at.
Yeah.
You need a guy right now. The program is not in shambles at Tallahassee. The program is just hurt. Derwin James is going to leave. This is fine, but their defense is still good. Francois is going to come back. They're going to redshirt Blackman. And then if Francois has a good year, he'll go pro, and you still have Blackman who's got a season under his belt where he didn't play that bad.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they're...
think they just need somebody to kind of coast them through, but also bring some scouting as talent to drive it back up.
Well, of course, you have to recruit every year.
Yeah.
That's just a given. But whereas I think Jimbo might be going to a bare cupboard, I don't think the guy who comes into Florida State is. What were they this year? Virginia Tech, 9-3 so far.
Yeah.
I mean, last year they were 10-4, played against Clemson in the ACC championship. So he's been able to maintain Virginia Tech's. They're not mediocre. They're not great. They're an average team. I just got a text from my buddy. He says, "Fucking Jimbo." I'm gonna text him back. Fuck him. Let him go. Fuck him. Let him go.
Yeah. Of the 3 losses Virginia Tech had this year, one was to Clemson, one was to Miami.
Yeah.
So
I think he's my first choice at this point. Well, let's wrap that up here with that. One more time, I'll take USC, Memphis with the teaser. I'll take Oklahoma. Give me Georgia, Miami, and Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm taking USC. I'm taking UCF minus the points in that. I'm taking Auburn minus the points. Taking Clemson and Ohio State.
Chalk.
Riding the favorites this week.
Yeah, you're eating some chalk this week.
Yeah.
For Anthony being back, he is excited about championship weekend, I assume.
Absolutely.
And
lot to look forward for. Hopefully there's a couple upsets, make it interesting. If not, a whole slate of mayhem.
That's what I'm rooting for. A whole big platter of just shit, just everywhere. I want
hit the fan and
I want every team
everywhere
to sit in front of that television Sunday night going, with the exception of the winner of the SEC championship. I want every team going.
Are we in?
I have no fucking clue what's about to happen.
Social media just explodes.
So for Anthony, I am Aaron. This has been another edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. And you can catch us, like I said, on YouTube.com. Search the Vegas Squares podcast. You can also check us out on iTunes. Just type in Vegas Squares podcast and subscribe. And we're on the website, vegassquares.com. We're on Twitter at Vegas Squares. So there's a lot of ways to reach us. So give the website a look, give some input, and we will see you next time.